The Pannonian Avars, ævɑːrz, also known as the Obri, the Abaroi and Varchonitai, and the Pseudo-Avars and Varchonites, were a group of Eurasian nomads of unknown origins during the early Middle Ages. The name Pannonian Avars is used to distinguish them from the Avars of the Caucasus, who may have been an unrelated people. They established the Avar Khaganate, which spanned the Pannonian Basin and considerable areas of Central and Eastern Europe from the late 6th to the early 9th century. They were ruled by a khagan, who was assisted by an entourage of professional warriors. Although the name Avar first appeared in the mid-5th century, the Pannonian Avars entered the historical scene in the mid-6th century, on the Pontic-Caspian steppe, as a band of warriors who wished to escape the rule of the Turks. The Avars languages are unknown. Historical sources suggest that ruling and subject clans spoke a variety of languages. Proposals by scholars include Caucasian, Iranian, Mongolic, Tungusic, and Turkic. However, over time, Proto-Slavic became the lingua franca of the Avar Khaganate. Postulated links to the Ûævăruran and other Central Asian peoples. According to some scholars, the Pannonian Avars originated from a confederation formed in the Aral Sea region, between the Ûævăr, also known as the Var, and the Varchonites, also known as the Varchonitai, Chani, Honey, Yun, Zun, and similar names. The Varchonites were most likely an Iranian-speaking a third tribe affiliated previously to the Ûævăr and Varchonites. The Hephthalites had remained in Central Asia. The Pannonian Avars were also known by names, including Uarchon of Varchonites, which may have been portmanteau words combining Var and Chani. The 18th-century historian Joseph de Guines postulates a link between the Avars of European history with the Ruran of Inner Asia based on a coincidence between Tardan Khan's letter to Constantinople and events recorded in Chinese sources, notably the Weishi and Peishi. Chinese sources state that Buman Khan, founder of the Turkic Khaganate, defeated the Ruran, some of whom fled and joined the Western Way. Later, according to another Chinese source, Mukan Khan, Buman's successor, defeated the Hephthalites as well as the Turkic Taila. Superficially, these victories over the Taila, Ruran and Hephthalites echo a narrative in the Theophylact, boasting of Tardan's victories over the Hephthalites, Avars and Ogres. However, the two series of events are not synonymous. The events of the letter took place during Tardan's rule, c. 580 to 599, whilst Chinese sources referring to the Turk defeat of the Ruran and other Central Asian peoples occurred 50 years earlier, at the founding of the Turk Khanate by Buman. It is for this reason that the linguist Janos Harmata rejects the identification of the Avars with the Ruran. Steppe empire dynamics and ethnogenesis. Contemporary scholars are less inclined to view the tribal groupings mentioned in historical texts as monolithic and long-lived nations, but were rather volatile and fluid political formations whose dynamic depended on the sedentary civilizations they bordered as well as internal power struggles within the barbarian lands. In 2003, Walter Powell summarized the formation of nomadic empires. 1. Many steppe empires were founded by groups who had been defeated in previous power struggles but had fled from the dominion of the stronger group. The Avars were likely a losing faction previously subordinate to the Ashina clan in the western Turkic Khaganate, and they fled west of the Dnieper too. These groups usually were of mixed origin, and each of its components was part of a previous group. 3. Crucial in the process was the elevation of a khagan, which signified a claim to independent power and an expansionist strategy. This group also needed a new name that would give all of its initial followers a sense of identity. 4. The name for a new group of steppe riders was often taken from a repertoire of prestigious names which did not necessarily denote any direct affiliation to a descent from groups of the same name. In the early Middle Ages, Huns, Avars, Bulgars, and Ogres, or names connected with Gur, were most important. In the process of name-giving, both perceptions by outsiders and self-designation played a role. These names were also connected with prestigious traditions that directly expressed political pretensions and programs, and had to be endorsed by success. In the world of the steppe, where agglomerations of groups were rather fluid, it was vital to know how to deal with a newly emergent power. The symbolical hierarchy of prestige expressed through names provided some orientation for friend and foe alike. Such views are mirrored by Csanad. Barlant. The ethnogenesis of early medieval peoples of steppe origin cannot be conceived in a single linear fashion due to the great and constant mobility, with no ethnogenetic theoretical proto-people or proto-language. Moreover, Avar identity was strongly linked to Avar political institutions. Groups who rebelled or fled from the Avar realm could never be called Avars but were rather termed Bulgars. Similarly, with the final demise of Avar power in the early 9th century, Avar identity disappeared almost instantaneously. Anthropological evidence. Anthropological research has revealed few skeletons with Mongoloid-type features, although there was continuing cultural influence from the Eurasian nomadic steppe. The late Avar period shows more hybridization, resulting in higher frequencies of Euro-Mongoloids. Mongoloid and Euro-Mongoloid types compose about one-third of the total population of the Avar graves of the 8th century. According to Palliptic, the early Avar anthropological material was almost exclusively Europoid in the 7th century, while grave goods indicated Middle and Central Asian parallels. On the other hand, cemeteries dated for the 8th century contained Mongoloid elements among others. He analyzed population of the Danube-Tisa Midland region in the Avar period and found that 80% of them showed Europoid characteristics. The two-ranid was most common Europoid type among the Avars graves. Palliptic. The two-ranid type is a Caucasoid type with significant Mongoloid admixture, arising from the mixture of the Andronovo type of Europoid features and the Oriental social and tribal structure. The Carpathian Basin was the center of the Avar power base. The Avars resettled captives from the peripheries of their empire to more central regions. Avar material culture is found south to Macedonia. However, to the east of the Carpathians, there are next to no Avar archaeological finds, suggesting that they lived mainly in the Western Balkans. Scholars propose that a highly structured and hierarchical Avar society existed, having complex interactions with other barbarian groups. The khagan was the paramount figure, surrounded by a minority of nomadic aristocracy. A few exceptionally rich burials have been uncovered, confirming that power was limited to the khagan and a close-knit class of elite warriors. In addition to hordes of gold coins that accompanied the burials, the men were often buried with symbols of rank, such as decorated belts, weapons, stirrups resembling those found in Central Asia, as well as the horse. The Avar army was composed from numerous other groups, Slavic, Gepidic and Bulgar military units. There also appear to have existed semi-independent, client tribes which served strategic roles, such as engaging in diversionary attacks and guarding the Avars' western borders abutting the Frankish Empire. Initially, the Avars and the subjects lived separately, except for Slavic and Germanic women who married Avar men. Eventually, the Germanic and Slavic peoples were included included in the Avaric social order and culture, itself Persian-Byzantine in fashion. Scholars have identified a fused, Avar Slavic culture characterized by ornaments such as half-moon-shaped earrings, Byzantine-styled buckles, beads, and bracelets with horn-shaped ends. Paul Foraker notes, here appears in the 7th century a mixed Slavic Avar material culture, interpreted as peaceful and harmonious relationships between Avar warriors and Slavic peasants. It is thought possible that at least some of the leaders of the Slavic tribes could have become part of the Avar aristocracy. Apart from the assimilated Gepids, a few graves of West Germanic peoples have been found in the Avar lands. They perhaps served as mercenaries. Language. The ethno-linguistic affiliation of the Avars is uncertain. Although there is sparse knowledge about the Avar language, scholars have suggested that the Avars could have spoken Caucasian, Iranian, Mongolic, Tungusic, and Turkic. Over time, Slavic became the lingua franca of the Avars.